Look, we're about to get started with our branding training, okay? And we have our marketing maven, Alexis Hope, who is the founder of Alexis Rose Company, and she'll be doing an extremely powerful training on branding. All right, so check us out. The link is in the comments if you want to join us, all right? It's free. It's free training. You need this. Let's get it.
Nice. Are you going to stay live, or you were just going to make an announcement?
Yeah, so what I'm going to do is kind of stay live, because you know how Facebook is. They'll let it kind of trickle out, and then whoever wants to join in, they can. The link will be there, and then I'll kind of go back and forth or whatever, but, you know, I'm here.
Okay. Should I share my screen again? Oh, it won't let me share my screen.
Okay. Make sure she can. Okay. Juan's on it.
Okay.
All right, he said go ahead and try it now.
Okay, cool. All right. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
All right. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Cool. So yeah, the session's on personal branding and how it can affect your business. We'll talk about, you know, the difference between your personal brand and your professional brand, but how important both of those aspects are, and just give some tips on how you could, you know, improve your professional branding or personal branding, and really make sure that you're evaluating both areas, not forgetting one or the other, you know, not putting out anything inappropriate that may actually hurt your business. Because I really think that, especially nowadays where everything is digital, people are searching for, you know, business owners, and they're trying to get to know, you know, who's the human behind the screen. So as you know, the internet's public, so they can find anything. And I'll introduce myself. I'm Alexis Quintel. I'm the owner of Alexis Rose Co. I'm a marketing consultant, and I'm based out of Tampa, Florida. I work with brands and companies that are nationwide, especially where everything is digital now. You don't have to necessarily only work in the city that you're in, which is cool. But what I look to do is help companies and businesses really improve their full marketing strategy. So from the creative aspect to their brand and that story they're telling with their brand, all the way to like sales and content development, web development. I consider myself full service, meaning anything you need marketing related, I can either do it or I can find a way to do it. I have a lot of partners in the, you know, marketing world that have a lot of skills. So either you'll get two for the price of one, but you can get a lot of support in the marketing world. And I'll pass it over to you, Dove.
All right, yeah, so I'm Duvay Weaver, founder of Closer to Our Dreams, LLC. It's pretty much a motivational company where we provide educational and inspirational workshops. COVID has hit us hard because we focused on doing live events. We focused on like experience, like we didn't even call ours trainings. It was more like you're coming into the Dreamers Paradise experience where we train people. Jessica knows because she's actually been to a couple of them. And I'm just excited about the opportunity to partner up with people like Alexis. And that's what Closer to Our Dreams is about. We don't focus on competition. We focus on collaborating. Who can we work with to help people get closer to their dreams, right? So we feel like there's a lot of talent out here in the world, especially in St. Pete and Tampa. And so our goal is to highlight those individuals. So I'm super excited about this training.
Yeah, and I'm really excited too to get to know you, Dove, and meet and learn more about your company, because I feel like I kind of experienced exactly what Closer to Our Dreams is meant to do. I worked in the corporate world, you know, for so long, and kind of always thought about being an entrepreneur, but was just really, you know, scared to take that jump. You know, that's definitely a big commitment to make, and to leave your, you know, 9-to-5 salary and benefits and, you know, decide to start your own company. But I found that it's completely worth the risk, and, you know, it's really going to be about what you put into it. I, you know, made sure, you know, I did some pro bono consulting work before I actually like quit my job, just to almost like test it out, make sure that it was something feasible and that I could provide the right, you know, type of services that companies actually needed. And that got me, referral. And, from there, I was able to just kind of grow my client base. And now, I never look back. It was the best decision I made. So I'm really excited to, to try to support other people as well, chasing their dreams. I mean, that's what life is all about. So it's really cool to be able to partner with you.
Yes, yes. Feeling is mutual.
So cool. So jumping right into it. So what is a brand? And what we wanted to ask guests today, which we can ask the ones we do have on the call, what is the first, few brands that come to mind when you're thinking about that? It could be a company or it could be a clothing line or something like that. But does anyone have any brands to share that kind of come to mind at first?
We did just get a new attendee, Nadine, if you want to share. I don't know, you got it on mute right now, but if not, we'll roll over to Jessica.
For some reason, the first thing that just came to my mind was Marriott.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And what, let me ask you this. So what about the Marriott? Is it the logo? Like what is it about that brand that sticks out for you?
Well, I really like to travel. And what I've noticed with Marriott is that, one, there's usually a Marriott everywhere you go. You can always find a Marriott. And then not only that, there's different levels of the Marriott hotels that meet your budget. And so to me, it just seems like
So it sounds like it's actually more on the service.
A really good brand.
Yeah.
That sticks out for me.
Okay. Love it. Love it. Anybody else? I think we just got someone else too on the call. Nadine, you want to jump in or next?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. How you doing?
Hi, guys. This is a nice surprise. Thank you for hosting this. I'm really looking forward to it. I've got my daughter at a hip hop class right now, so I can't really do the video, and but I'm definitely be listening. So yeah, brand wise, I gotta say Disney. Like when I think of Disney, I just think of like such a wide variety of services, from theme parks to cruises to toys to children's movies, adult movies, to like pioneers of graphic design, just to a brand in general. So
wow, that's a good one. That's a good one. I didn't even think about them. Crazy. I don't want to say it wrong, but I'm gonna try Michaela. Don't hurt me if I said it wrong. I'm sorry. If you're not in a space where you can engage, no problem. I'll say for myself, she already has it up there, Nike. I actually worked for Nike for 5 years. It was a pretty cool experience. Let me see what other brand. And of course, Starbucks. Starbucks. And to me, the crazy thing about Starbucks is like, people know they're overpaying for coffee, but they go do it every single day.
It's so good.
See, they got Alexis already.
Pumpkin spice came out this week. Come on.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I really I appreciate those answers, because I feel like a lot of the brands you named aren't just the ones that are, necessarily paying the most for advertising, or, are really just like have the most brand awareness. I feel like Nike, Apple, a lot of those brands I think are just, what people think of immediately. But Marriott and Disney are an interesting, aspect, because they're almost a little bit of a wider range. They have more services. They're in a lot of different areas, like they're growing themselves and really trying to improve, which I think is a really important part of a brand, but not everyone does that. So really, just to define what a brand is, it's the first impression that someone will get of you, both your personal brand and your professional brand or your business. The first thing they're gonna see is your, what is external. So the logo, the color palette, the font, the photos you use, the website, anything that is just that immediate, people's attention span is like 5 seconds. So you got 5 seconds to get a good impression. And I've even worked with companies where, that first impression was so bad, those people never came back. So it's really important that you're being intentional about that first impression. but also your brand is able to tell a story, which I think is really cool, especially now, in this digital world and how, especially with Marriott and Disney, I feel like those brands do tell a story. There's something behind just the logo and the font, there's something behind that. And I think that also mixes into the next bullet, which is their pillars and values. That's, something that you are able to convey right off the bat, but it's harder, it's easier said than done. A lot of times if people are just building out a brand, they think, okay, I've got this logo, it's a little icon and here's my name and there you go. But there's actually ways that you can use your brand to share what your values are. I think Dove with Closer to Our Dreams does that really well. Like you can tell right off the bat just from going to like your homepage that your values are about, helping people reach their true meaning of success. And that's what it's all about. Your brand can also be really distinguished. A lot of that will have to do with the amount of time and, input that you put into your brand. A lot of times it's not just something you'll make, on a Friday night and spend an hour and say, okay, here's my brand. It actually goes through a process where you'll need to be thinking through all these different areas in order to get to that identity. It's really going to be your identity. And it's something that you can even, you can change over time, which I think is actually true in both a personal and a professional brand. Your identity doesn't need to stay the same forever. I'm actually a true believer that at least every 5 years, you need a brand refresh. Because if you think about how much things have changed since 2015, in 2020, your brand from 2015 may look like it just needs a little bit of a facelift, needs construction done. It doesn't mean you need to completely rip it down and start over, but I definitely think that your identity can evolve over time. And as your business grows and as you kind of get deeper into what your business's values are, that could even change. So that's really just the overall, pulling it all together. What is a brand? So why is branding important to your business? This is another question I don't have the bullets up yet because I kind of wanted to hear your responses before kind of providing my input on this. Does anyone have any ideas of, what's so important about that? Why does it even matter? Can we just worry about that later, or is it something you need to think about right off the bat?
Ricky, what you think? I'm gonna call on you, bro.
Well, I believe that branding is important because it's number one, it's how your audience is going to connect with you. So branding is a big part of determining what your message is and who it's going to impact, and that's basically how you really, connect with your audience and connect with people that are going to support you through your journey.
Got it. And just to kind of piggyback off of Ricky, man, I'm so excited for him because he actually came to our first Dreamers Paradise 3 years ago. And he talked about 3 things in that he wanted to write a book, which he's done. And he wanted to start speaking on bigger stages, which he's also done. And his brand, another thing he wanted to do is just like explode. And I feel like that's all because he knew his direction, what he wanted to do, his audience, who he wanted to target. So I really believe that's important, especially when you're in the beginning phases.
Yeah. Congratulations, that's awesome. We'll kind of walk through my points here. I keep getting this in the way, and my cat's crying in the background, so we'll just ignore him. So the brand of your business is that external personality. So very similar to what you were saying, Ricky. It's really what gives people an understanding of who you are and what you do. It's, again, that story that you're telling about your business, your company, your product, your service. It doesn't matter what area you're in. It's that like personality and first impression. But your brand can often make or break your business. There's been a lot of research now into like millennials and Gen Z as they're now getting older and they're starting to get into, these types of businesses and services. They are much more critical of branding than their older generations. And they will even go as far as to not make purchases or not use companies because their brand did not appeal to them. And that could mean a lot of things. I know a lot of the focuses right now is, eco-friendly, sustainability, making sure that you're not really focusing on political party and you're not, you just have to be careful about the things that you say and do. And I think that as both a personal and a professional brand, that's going to be very important going forward because of the criticalness of these younger generations. But the bottom line is that every brand needs a brand strategy. You can't just go into it and wing it. You really do need to sit back and say, okay, here's my story that I want to tell. Here's the values I want people to understand. Now here's the strategy. How am I going to actually make that, come to life? This is where you plan your advertising and your marketing tactics. That's where you really can, give your brand that voice, put it on social media, create content, build a website. Those are the next steps for after you've already decided what your brand is going to be. So now we're getting into kind of the difference between a personal brand and a business brand. So we'll actually give you some real life examples after this, but I first wanted to just touch on why does it even matter? Why can't I just be, myself on Facebook and, just posting whatever I want if that's completely separate from my business? Or maybe you are someone who's an entrepreneur and your personal page is also your business page. I mean, does it matter? You really have to think about what you're sharing and what your voice is. What would be your input?
Well, I'll go ahead and start, and I'll be controversial here and just let you know that my husband and I have kind of 3 different brands going for us. Wow. And it's been very difficult to navigate those brands because they're in opposition of each other as far as some of the supporters of each brand. So we own a construction company, which kind of has its own, I'd say, construction, architectural, DIY kind of manly brand that my husband runs. And then we're working, we are opening a counseling and wellness clinic, which is just a kind of overall positive, holistic healing. But then my husband and I also are really involved with LGBTQ inclusion and just spreading some of the experiences that we've gone through as bisexuals ourselves. So clearly there's going to be some division between those that support our construction company and some of our personal mission, and even some division between our wellness center and that. So that's been really, really tricky to navigate how to brand individually when we have like different entrepreneurial goals going on that don't overlap and align perfectly.
Yeah, that's an interesting problem to have. Well, congratulations on all that success. I guess my kind of initial question is, obviously all these companies are very different areas and fields, but does your overall value, and the reasoning and the why behind you're doing this, would you say that's the same?
Absolutely. We're literally here to help people.
Exactly. So that's what I thought you were going to say. So that's perfect. So that's why I really think that you and your husband's personal brand can still have that same value. The goal here is that we want to help people, whether it's construction or it's health and wellness, or you just need someone to talk to. I think that even overlapping in these different areas, you can still have that be your main personal brand story that you're telling. If you're worried about other people and what they're commenting and sharing on your posts because they're in all these different areas, you can just monitor that. I mean, just delete it if it's inappropriate. I think that that's completely fair, as long as what you're sharing is still along those same values. And then each business that's going to be a little bit more work for you and your husband, is that there's in such different areas that you will need to look at those very separately. Even if they have the same values, they're completely different brands, I'm sure. While that may be the same underlying, value of helping people, it's, one of them you even said was manly, the other one might be a little bit more feminine. They're probably very, very different. And I think that, you're going to have to still take as much time to curate each of those 2 brands.
Yes, I appreciate that. I agree.
Yeah. Does anyone else have a thought? Okay, well, I can start to kind of go into my my recommendations. So people I definitely think are starting to take extra interest in the human behind each business. People have more and more access now to information. So when they're, thinking about contacting you for a specific service or, even visiting your brick and mortar shop, it's more than likely now that people are searching for your business and who you are and what's your background, and almost just like fact checking you before they even go there. So I think that it's really important that you still add that human touch to both your, both brands, personal and professional, but make sure that you're, just being a little bit extra careful and cognizant of that. It's definitely important that you take care of your personal branding. I think that as people, especially that are entrepreneurs, that they're starting their own business, they get so caught up in that suddenly, their personal brand just kind of falls behind. But what basically all this, research and just the way that things are moving forward is showing is that both are equally important, and that you really do need to, be thinking about your strategy for both your personal brand and your business brand. So just to kind of give you an example, I figured I'd use myself as example A. So I'm Alexis Quintel, I'm a human. I have kind of an interesting background where I received my master's in education and first worked at the University of South Florida as a recruiter and a college advisor, and was helping students really navigate their university experience and really figure out what's the best career path for them based on their skills and their personality. So if you're like Googling me, you might see some articles I wrote at USF or, things that are just completely unrelated to what I do now. But my goal and what you can do is that if you had that like career path, like you've switched careers, which is totally normal, is to make sure that you are, updating and putting out new content that's more related to your current position. So that way, kind of how Google even works is that the older stuff does get moved down on Google. And, now I don't really, it's not a bad thing, which is good, but it's just an interesting, thing that people may learn about me. So what I've done too is put up a website. And I think that's one really helpful way just to, speak to what my services are, what my skills are. I put in my about section, the fact that I have this education background, so people may find it and say, okay, that makes sense now. It links to like my social pages, which I put a lot of, thought behind. And, this website is specifically for my marketing consultancy. So it's, it's separate from my personal brand, but it still obviously overlaps because I'm a one-person business. So there's a lot of ways that I have to navigate, okay, is this for Alexis Rose Co, or is this for Alexis Quintel, or could it be for both? Because a lot of what I do in even my day-to-day life is related back to marketing and sales, and could still be used towards, some of my business content. So, even just looking at like my social pages, my Instagram is Alexis Rose Co. So I actually decided not to make a separate Instagram that would be just for my business. I decided in February when I launched this business just to take my current following and just update my page to be my company. So that means I have to be extra careful. I'm not just posting like, beach photos and drinking photos or anything like that on my Instagram because, it's my business page. But I also understand that a lot of these people were my friends first. So they're not going to also want to be bombarded with like sales, content, that has nothing to do with them. They'll unfollow me very quickly. So what I try to do is add like a personal approach to it. So this was one update I put up like at the end of April. Sounds like so long ago, that I was just reflecting on how much I had done during quarantine. And, it kind of talked about my company, but then it talked about like my personal life and in my backyard, and, just kind of like reflecting on what I've done. I think that's, very relatable, even though it is a business page. It's a great way to just overlap the two. But then my Facebook page is my personal page. So I have a separate Alexis Rose Co. Facebook. So, but people can still find me. I'm the owner. They can just click over to my Facebook page. So on Facebook, I try to do things like a little bit more like family oriented, I think is kind of the vibe for Facebook. It's where I even have a lot of my family members, and they're the ones that interact with me most. Like for example, who commented, I have 3 cats and we were missing one in this photo. So my fiance's mom commented, "Where's the fresh cat?" So you just kind of know that when you're on Facebook, like you're probably going to have your like grandma post, like comment something awkward, and you have to just navigate that. But I think that, you know, still having that personal aspect, it can actually help you with your business because it can start conversations. You know, a potential client called me and say, "Oh, I saw you have 2 puppies." Like, you know, that's something that can open the door of not having an awkward conversation right off the bat because they kind of learned something about my personal life, still, you know, completely professional and appropriate, but interesting. And, you know, a conversation starter. So then example B is Mr. Dove. If you want to kind of dive into how you navigate the difference between Dove Weaver, you know, your personal brand, and your business, Closer to Our Dreams.
Right. So for me, we've approached the 2-year mark of having like CTOD as an idea, as a concept, right? And so, and for those of you who don't know, this is a business I have with my cousin who lives out in Los Angeles. We're 50-50, but we were very serious about having someone else do the marketing for us because we felt like we didn't want to be so attached to everything we posted, because then it would be too hard to post, because he might want to post something that was related to this, and then I might want to post something that's totally different, right? So we felt like we needed to find someone that was serious about helping us, 1, build the brand, and 2, we wanted them to kind of be inspired by our story. And like everybody we work with, we want them to genuinely be excited about like helping people chase their dreams, right? So when I met Alexis a little while ago, I was so excited because I was like, finally, somebody that's, you know, got the same energy as me. And then we talked about building this out together. So I totally keep it separate. If you look at what CTOD is, if I jump in and post anything, it might be a video of me speaking. And that's just because, you know, I got most of the content, but I usually let her run the show. And she's doing an amazing job.
Well, thank you. And then, so how do you really handle your personal page?
Yeah, and so for my personal page, when I do something, I try to do a training or something that might help somebody think about something a little different. So this one she's highlighting here, I talked about, is your vision clear on where you want to go? And the reason I wanted to do a video on that is because I understood that, you know, during these times, a lot, like people were just being bombarded, told to watch TV and like, oh, you just need to binge watch all these shows. But I was like, look, if you have a vision, you'll know that, okay, this is actually perfect for me because now I can sit back and use this extra time to build my brand, build my business, whatever that may be. So on my personal brand, I focus on trying to do more educational things to bring people in and start more conversations.
Awesome. Yeah, so it's going to be different for everyone. It really depends on, you know, if you're in business with someone else. You know, if I had a partner with Alexis Rose Co, then I probably would have, you know, made that a completely separate entity. But where it's, you know, it's my name, and what I'm trying to convey as like my value, my mission is that I'm going to give you very personal services. You know, it's not that you're hiring someone that's going to be, you know, behind the scenes and maybe you're talking to a sales rep, but actually someone that works with the sales rep that's actually doing your marketing, and then the sales rep is the one that's just speaking to you, but not actually, you know, doing any of the work. They're just like the frontline, you know, communicator. You know, you just know going into it, okay, it's a different experience. I know what I'm going to get. I know, you know, who I'm going to be speaking to, who's going to be working with me. And I think that, you know, hopefully that's kind of the first impression you get from the brand. So it really is going to be different for every single one. I think that's why it's so custom for everybody, which is what makes your own brand unique and stand out. So one thing I just want to touch on is, you know, let's make sure your personal brand isn't hurting your business. You know, at the most, it should be supporting your business. You should be able to, like Dove, he has such a large following that he can post one day about, you know, a sale going on with Closer to Our Dreams, and suddenly everyone is you know, going to the website and is like, oh, what's this all about? Because they connect with the human behind that brand. So you really do want to make sure, you know, you're putting forward a positive, you know, brand with your personal page, but also you could use that to your advantage. You know, people want to support people. So there's just some tips I have. I definitely, you know, I'm all about this, like the big three of like what not to post about: politics, religion, and sex. If you can avoid that at all costs, you won't get into a huge like Facebook argument. I definitely think you should be willing to share personal photos or stories on your, you know, on your business page and on your personal page. So not anything too personal, but again, like I've really been reiterating over and over again, is that people connect better with a human. So the more you can show, like if you have employees, you know, share your employees' photos. You know, yesterday was National Dog Day. You could have had some of your, you know, employees, you know, posing with their dogs, and you know, that's a cute way just to add that, like, you know, human touch to it. And it doesn't always have to be you if you're not the only one, you know, within that company. But make sure you don't neglect your personal brand. You do want to be sharing information and acting like, you know, you're an active human in society. But don't overly post salesy information on, actually, I'd say both pages, but definitely your business page. I think that's kind of a initial reaction is like, okay, I'm selling a product. I need every post to be about my product. But that's not true. Actually, what you should probably look at is you can actually go to Google right now and look at their analytics. What are the top 10 keywords people are searching for the month of August? Are there any of those that maybe I could relate my business to, or, you know, somehow join that conversation? You know, this is what people care about right now. So they're not going to stop and care about your brand if you're not even, you know, involved in that conversation. So definitely pay attention to what's trending and see if you can find a way to be a part of that conversation. But of course, be open to hiring a marketing consultant. I actually personally have someone that helps me with my my social content as well, just because, you know, we all get busy. We're all, you know, we're trying to run businesses that support other people. So usually the last thing on your mind is, okay, now how do I market, you know, my own brand and run my social pages every day and make sure that it all relates and it's relevant. That's hard. So I even recently hired someone who was like, I do social media for other brands, but I actually need someone to do mine. Like, I don't have time to do my own. So I definitely think that's something that everyone should, you know, consider. And I think you'll find it that it ends up being a fun relationship, like me and Dove have. It's, you know, and it gives someone who's non-biased the ability to have creative ideas of how maybe you could expand your brand or, you know, make your marketing strategy more creative. Because sometimes we just get so siloed, you know, just focusing on the day-to-day. We got to sell this product or service, you know, it's hard to think outside those, you know, those blinders. So having a third party to support you can be really, really helpful.
Yeah, and I will say, I'll share a story about that. So for me, when I started speaking almost 7-8 years ago, I remember I was literally trying to do everything. So I was trying to post on Facebook, post on Instagram, trying to run a YouTube page, edit all my videos. Like, I was literally trying to be that guy. I was like, man, I do it all, right? And so the game changer for me was when I went to an event in Miami for the #1 speaker in the world, Dr. Eric Thomas. And I was able to get VIP because we had the same publisher company at the time. And so they worked out a deal for me. So in there, I found out that, hey, he doesn't do any of his social media. As a matter of fact, he shared with us, he said, the only thing I do is speak. And he said, that's what I get paid a lot of money to do. So I was like, I'm gonna build a team around that where everybody else, that's their job, is to get gigs and all that. But hey, you tell me where to go, I'm speaking. So that's kind of the model I wanted to kind of change, where I was trying to do everything. And that's why it's been so important to collaborate with people that can help, not just my brand, but anybody that we work with.
Yeah, that's such a good point. By doing that, you're allowing yourself to put more focus into your, you know, what your business's goals actually are, rather than trying to spread yourself between, okay, half the time I can focus on my business, but the other half I have to focus on marketing my business. But then if you grow your revenue and you're increasing it, then which one are you gonna pick? You know, you're gonna either lose time marketing yourself, or you're gonna lose time actually making your business better, which is really more important. You know, that's what your either your skill is, or, you know, your main product that you're selling. Unless you're a marketing person, you know, marketing isn't really what you do best. So why not lean on someone that is what they do best?
Exactly.
Cool. Well, that's pretty much what I had for the presentation. What I wanted to see from the group is if anyone you know, was willing to share either their personal, you know, personal brand, or, you know, the name of their business, and we could take a look at it and, you know, kind of give some overall as a group feedback. You know, is this, you know, are you kind of following these recommendations, or, you know, are there areas for improvement? Was anyone willing to share?
Ricky Burnett. Come on, you ready?
What's your business, Ricky?
My business is Emerging Excellence LLC and LLC.
This one?
Yes, that's mine.
Nice. Well, that's good. You're the first search result, so you're already on a roll. Cool. Okay, so you've got the logo, which I really like that logo, actually.
Thank you.
And where's this photo? Okay. Very nice. I like how you already added the human touch to it, like right off the bat. So what is your overall goal, like before I even look at this, you know, what is the value that you're trying to provide with this brand and with this company?
Well, the value I want to provide is I want millennials to be able to utilize the talents and gifts that they have and the past experiences that they've gone through to be able to create sustainable impact in their communities and corporations that they work for.
Okay, great. And how do you do that? Do you provide coaching?
I do coaching, I do motivational speaking, and I also do it by example. So I say my purpose is to empower millennials, but my passion is youth empowerment. So I post a lot as far as some of the things I do within the community, whether it's mentoring, whether it's speaking in schools, or doing different things. So I do that as well. So some of it's going to be quotes. Sometimes I'm doing videos. Sometimes I'm posting some of the different events that I'm a part of.
Oh, great. I love that. So is this company just you, or do you have like a partner or anyone else that's involved?
It's just me right now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, actually, this is really great. Like, I'm trying to think of constructive feedback, but I feel like you add the human touch to it. It looks like you definitely are active. You have a lot of great photos, which is sometimes half the battle I have with clients is we need to do a professional photo shoot, so that way you're using really professional photos of yourself. So that's great. I love the fact you use a lot of quotes that are just really inspirational. I think that you're really giving off exactly the value that you had just described. I maybe wonder if there's one thing you could try is the tip I gave about jumping into like a current trend. You know, okay. Is there anything that is, and still staying away from those big three that you don't want to go into, but something that's trending? Like last week when I was looking, it was like Google Classroom, and I was working with a client that came up with the idea of, kind of relating like, hey, more people are digital now, and they're using these different digital platforms in order to create content for their classroom. So we came up with like an idea of a social post that kind of spoke about how we could maybe support teachers or just spread the word of like different virtual platforms that you could use, like Google Classroom. Mm-hmm. And that one, it got a lot of engagement. People were like, oh, I was already thinking about that. So one thing I'd be curious about, do you ever tag yourself, or do you keep yours like pretty separate?
So what I usually do is I will I'll post some stuff on here, and then I would share it to my personal page because I have quite a bit of not quite a bit. I have much more on my personal page as far as followers and everything.
Right. Yeah, that works really well. Okay, cool. So you definitely are very, cognizant of your personal brand, it sounds like. especially if you're using it to share what you're doing. And then do you also share things outside of your business as well on your personal page?
Yeah. So what I usually do is when I'm posting stuff outside of my business, I might post maybe something, maybe I went somewhere, or I'll post a transparent story about something I'm going through based off of the picture. And I'm still at the same time giving like a lesson through my own experience at that time. So I might say, in this picture, I was feeling this way. I was feeling depressed because of this, and that. But then I reflected on it, and then this was the lesson I got from it. So I give them 3 points as far as what I got from that.
I like that. So you're adding more of like the, the personal touch to your personal page, and kind of sharing your story and how that's affected you. Yep. And then on your professional page, it's more somewhat not third person, but more just, you're speaking to an audience.
Yes.
Great. This is a great example. Thanks for letting us pick your brain. What?
I was telling Ricky, don't forget about us.
Okay.
I know. This is great. So did you quit your job at Macy's in order to full-time work on this business?
Well, I don't have my actual most recent employer, which is Citibank, because at the time I didn't want them knowing about it. But I still work there as well, but they are fully aware of it. My boss even bought my book,
good
presentations for them and everything. So everyone's really aware of it. They've been some of my biggest supporters. So at this point, my current job is one of the people that, keep me going as far as the business itself, because they tell me about different opportunities. Sometimes they might have something outside of city that they do, that they're a part of, different organizations. So, I'm trying to merge, even though it's even though I'm working for Citibank, I bring my personal brand to the company so that they know that I'm, I work for Citi, but I look at them as my client.
Right. You brought up such a good point too that I didn't touch on is that, what do you do when you're kind of planning on having this, like what the term is now, side hustle business, but you still have a full-time job, and you want to be careful and cognizant that your full-time job is, doesn't think that you're taking time during the day and you're taking time away from when you should be focusing on, that 9-to-5 job. And I'm a firm believer, and I think everyone should have a side hustle, at least one. And that I think that more and more companies are starting to realize that and be more open to it. They only, own you, I guess, from 9 to 5, but you have from 6 p.m. till however late you want. You've got weekends. They shouldn't be able to tell you can't have this, side business or side project you're working on if it's outside of those 9 to 5 hours. So I'm a firm believer in still, sharing that on your personal page, even if you do have a full-time job, or even on your LinkedIn, that's really important too. So, but I can also completely understand. I was nervous as well to really make that public until after I had quit my job, especially where I'm doing the same thing that I was doing at my job. So I think that makes a little bit more, I almost would have been like a competitor of the company I was at. So that was one reason why I did kind of keep it on the DL. But if it's completely a separate field, then it really shouldn't matter. So kudos. Does anyone else have a brand they want to share? Nadine, I'd love to look into one of yours. If not now, maybe we can link up later. But I'm curious to see how you've branded your construction company and then your wellness company.
You're welcome to look. You can start with the construction company. It's extremely not active because Chad has like more work than he knows what to do with. But if you want to look at Copley Services, are you on Facebook or the internet? I can't tell.
Well, so I first was just Googling and kind of seeing what came up first.
Yep.
It just happened to be Facebook for Ricky. But okay, so yeah, I'd love to check out your website and mix it up a little bit. So
yeah, so I did it on Wix. I don't know what I'm doing, and I just did some YouTube videos and
Hey, that's the great thing is you can figure it out now all on your own, which is great.
yep.
And I think especially for this, I think this, I mean, what's great too about this is a service. So people aren't expecting like bells and whistles for, a repair service. So I think as long as you're communicating, what your service provides, which you have right in the intro paragraph. I love that you mentioned that it's local, because I think people are really starting to want to support local, plus you kind of need someone local for that. And even have your husband on the homepage. That adds that human touch to it. And so what they probably would do is now they see his name, Chad Copley, and they're probably going to go, search for him too and learn a little bit more about, him as a person, especially in this field where I don't know if he's personally doing the repair and construction, but I mean, you have a human on your property, so you probably want to know a little bit about them before they step foot there. So one way to do that would be searching for them.
Yeah, I think what's really cool about Copley Services is we started about 4 years ago through some reviews on Nextdoor in the Old Northeast, where we lived and where I grew up. And my husband was doing some real estate, and honestly, we started this business on accident because basically just the word spread in kind of a more upscale neighborhood. And Chad was very professional and had a lot of integrity, and he came over to the house when he said he was. He sent his estimate when he said he would. His guys showed up when they were supposed to, did the job for the price and the timing. And so I think that for us, like, we haven't had to do a ton of marketing. It's been more word of mouth and referral. Yeah.
That's great. I love that you have the blog aspect as well. That's really different for the service industry. I don't think I've seen that before. One tip I'll give you, actually, I don't know if you've heard about this and if it even would be worth it for you, but Google is now offering an upgrade, they're calling it, it's called the Google Guarantee, where you can actually get your business verified by Google. So they check into, like, just make sure you have the basic insurance and probably just contact you and make sure you're a legit company. And then they give you this checkbox on Google. I can actually show you. Local repair man in St. Pete. See if this works. Well, it worked when I did roofer, so we'll just pretend that that's what it is. So see, if you can see my screen right here, these 3 companies went through the process to be Google guaranteed. I think it costs like $50 a month, but you get put on the very top of the search page. So you're never down here competing with everybody else. You're up on the very top. And what Google does is they say, get the job done right, or Google pays you back. That's how serious they are about this, is that they're really trying to back up like the local service industry and just make consumers more, confident in who they're hiring. It's kind of a win-win for both. But that might be something interesting to look into in the future. It's kind of this like trending thing right now. So I'm curious to see how people, if people pick it up and it keeps growing. But
is there a fee?
Yeah, it's $50 a month.
Okay, that seems.
Thank you.
Yeah, but the good thing is, that means, I don't know if you ever did like, Google ads or, SEO, like you can now kind of not skip it, but you can spend less on, those type of marketing tactics and put it towards just get this Google guarantee and you'll now be on the very top of the Google page without even trying, really.
That's really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Great. Well, my room just got dark, so now I can even think I don't have a light on. So
Okay.
I think we can probably wrap up soon unless anyone has any more questions. Because now I'm sitting in the dark.
So everybody, I want to get some feedback. How did everybody feel after this call? Like we said, it was just a free branding, high level view. Like I said, I've been working with Alexis for a couple of months now. I highly suggest, even if you just get a quote from not even just her, anybody, just to go to see what options are out there so that you don't have to be bombarded like I was like the first couple of years of me trying to start to chase my dreams, right? So just think about that. Go ahead and, get a quote and I would suggest Alexis, because she's definitely on her game. So.
Well, I do free consultations, just, you know, a 30-minute meeting or conversation, and a lot of times you just get free tips out of it. So even if you don't want to, you know, work together, I also just love meeting people. Like normally I would be at Rising Tide, like physically, like networking with you all and like having more conversations and building those relationships. Like that's the part I like the most. So I'm always just open to if anyone wants to chat further and you know, wants just some marketing advice, you know, I'm happy to do that.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead and end the call. We are going to offer, so I have for CTOD, and Alexis is helping us with that. We're doing a 7-day Chasing Your Dreams challenge. Actually, we already have 2 of our attendees in here. That's Jessica and Nadine. So I'm excited about that. So anybody that wants to be in the challenge, I believe it's closertoourdreams.com/challenge, and it should take you right to the page. And yeah, anything you want to say, Alexis, to close it out?
No, I'm really happy. Thank you everyone for coming.
Yes, thank you guys for coming. If
Very
anyone
insightful.
wants to share this training, Rising Tide is recording it, and then they're going to put it on their YouTube. So, I mean, if you just want to send it to somebody and say, hey, look, you know, I got something out of this, you know, share it.
Thank you, Dove. Thank you, Alexis. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Good to meet everyone.
Yes,
Thank
have a good
you.
evening, everybody.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. I don't know if you got to leave for it.